Hey guys, Phil here. Before we get to tonight's episode, just a quick thing. Happy Small Business Week. We're celebrating small businesses everywhere. We're going to actually release 3 episodes this week. So we have Alice coming up. We've also got a really great episode, coming up that will release tomorrow night as well, from Daria at CFIB, which I think for small businesses everywhere, it'll be important to hear because there's they do some wonderful things that help small businesses. And then finally this week, we're also going to have Sonia on, who is from Skipper Auto, who has this wonderful small business, or not so small, but really unique business that kind of brings local fishermen to your door. So celebrating Small Business Week. Thank you to all the small businesses and the things that you do to support the economy. And then finally to Alice, we apologize. We recorded this with Alice beginning of September, and our roster has been just so full. But Alice, you are not forgotten, and we love that we've finally been able to get out this episode. Thanks.
Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Sure. Right? I mean, because we had the fires and the smoke, and the weather seemed to go everywhere. Like, it was just a bizarre month. So if you had a nice month to be mommy, that's a good month. That's a really good month. Good for you.
Hello.
It was.
Good for you.
Hi.
You had your
How are
technical issues figured out there, Chang?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Attaboy.
I'm good.
No. What do you do? What do you do?
Figure it out, and
Nice
you
to
did.
see you.
We were laughing because Alice texted me last night. I just got the text like literally when we signed on.
Yeah,
To ask to prep. I'm thinking
to prep.
to prep.
No, you showed up.
We're lucky if we show up on time. Never
Yeah,
mind.
that's
You
kinda-
show up on time.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Cool.
all the prep that's required is you show up.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I did it.
the extent of it.
You
See,
did
that's,
it.
That's
You
half
see?
the battle.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Podcast is almost done. See, you got most of it done.
Perfect.
That's good though. So
Goodness.
summer was been sounds like summer's been okay then. You had the nice month.
I had the nice month, and then July was crazy because I won the visa grant, so I got flown to Toronto,
Oh, nice.
and then right after Toronto happened, remember I called you because I had an opportunity with that retailer, so that was crazy trying to figure that stuff out, and then it just went quiet, and then I kept waiting for something to happen, and then I realized nothing was going to happen, so then I just enjoyed it, and then I kept saying how slow it is, how slow it is, how slow it is, and all of a sudden, and everyone's like, "Don't say that," and I'm like, "But it
Yeah.
is." And then
Yeah.
bam, I'm like, "Oh, I have this to do, this, and then
Yeah.
I'm back at it.
Good God, what's happening now? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it doesn't take long for it to spin out of control really fast.
but it's
Which is
manageable.
good. It's all good. I mean, it's take it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough slow times sometimes in our business. Even if they last 10 minutes, it seems like an eternity. Like busy's all good, man. Busy's all good. Just keep
I
popping.
like busy,
Just keep popping.
'cause
I like
busy's
busy
like-
too.
Progress.
I like
And if it's
busy
not
too.
busy, I'm like, "Am I done? Is this it?"
Exactly. What happened? Do I? Yeah. Way too many. Your mind starts running. It just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
It really goes nowhere good.
Oh man, I love it. I haven't seen you. I didn't make it out to your event. I was trying to, and I just couldn't make it. But I
That's
feel like
okay.
I haven't seen you.
In moons.
Yeah, no. Well, I saw Alice for a little bit when we were doing some SEO stuff.
That was early June.
That was early June. Wow, that's a
Early,
long
no,
time
no,
ago.
sorry. Yeah, June, July. Like June, July is when I
Yeah.
last connected with both of you.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
Very cool. So if you're listening, we have Alice Gray on. She is the founder of Mindful Monk. We'll get her to tell you about that in a sec. But Kenny and I have had some wonderful moments being able to talk to Alice and find out about her business and help out where we can. But we love this podcast. We are a little bit more educated than we were before. I think we've had a series of chocolate people on. So Kenny and I have learned a whole bunch of things about chocolate along the way. So hopefully we're slightly more knowledgeable, so we won't be.
We might be more
you-
insightful in how we're looking at things.
I wasn't sure if you were narrowing your eyes because you thought I was just full of bunk, Kenny, or whether.
No, you're probably a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I mean, definitely know a little bit more, but I mean, you set the bar. If the bar's really
yeah,
low,
but like two knuckleheads that know a little bit more, right?
yeah,
So,
it's a little bit dangerous.
but Alice has a pretty cool business, and we've had the time to get to know her a little, and we thought she'd be a wonderful guest on the show. So welcome.
Thanks, guys. That's very kind. And I have definitely enjoyed our time together. And maybe you can teach me something about chocolate because I'm still learning.
See what happens? That's what happens when you go down the path Phil went down. Now you got to teach. Good luck. Like I
know what I know.
I know a little bit more, not enough to teach anybody. A little bit more though.
Okay.
So for you, young lady, young woman, you got 45, 50 minutes, whatever you want. It's your podcast. Love to know about you, where you came from, why you're doing this, or what got you to the stage. How's it going, etc. So like literally, we'll butt in if we have any questions, but otherwise, we're just more excited to have people learn a lot more about you, your product, and why you do you.
And that's really cool. And I'm grateful to have somewhere to share the story because it's something that I'm just starting to do and get used to doing. Yeah. So, hi.
Hello.
Wherever you want to start, wherever you want to start. You know what she's used to? She's on one podcast too. You know, she did Hayden's podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that beautiful voice of his, and he's so organized, unlike the two of us. You know, like you get time to think what you're going to say. We're completely not those two. Thank God Hayden's around because it balances the world a lot nicer than just the chaos of us.
But life is chaos, so it works.
I guess so. So, like I said, anywhere you want to start, like you tell us where you want to go, and like I said, if we have questions, as long as you don't mind us poking and prodding.
I mean, I can start really. Let's start with why I started the business because I feel like that's pretty important to me because it's what drives me every day. So, as you two know, I'm a mom and I have two little girls. The older one just turned 8 and is in grade 3 now, which has been very emotional because grade 3 just sounds so much older than grade 2.
Yeah, it does. It's nothing, right? It's a zero, but it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it's like there's so many more like feelings involved because like she's in grade 3. She got her class today, like her temporary/permanent class. It's pretty permanent, and none of her friends are in it, and she's like really upset. So we were dealing with that, and it makes me upset to see her upset. But I also think that it's a good opportunity for her to learn to make new friends, or maybe pay attention in class.
Well, the first part more probably than the second, but that's
yeah.
That's
Anyways,
okay.
It all happens. Yeah. So yeah, mom of 2. I had gestational diabetes with both my girls. So, and I knew it was going to happen because my father had diabetes, his family had diabetes. So it was familial, and I'm also Asian. So it's very common in our genes, or even South Asian. It's just a common gene that we have. So when I got it, it was hard to receive because it's like, well, first I'm dealing with being pregnant for the first time, and that's a whole thing. And then now I have to learn to manage diabetes while being pregnant. So it was a struggle, but the doctors are like, don't worry, this is very common. You're going to go on medication, you're going to take insulin, you're going to go on a restricted diet that will help you, and then you're just going to have to move your body a lot to get your blood sugar down. So great, followed them and it worked, and I'm grateful for that. And then 2 years later I found that I was still not feeling great. Like I was tired all the time, had brain fog, and like was hard balancing, like being a mom working full time. And I was still carrying the extra baby weight I gained. And I'm like, okay, this isn't normal. This doesn't feel right. So then I started to look at what I was putting into my body and like what I was eating and how I would feel. And then I just remember finding this one blog where this mom was like, oh yeah, we cut out sugar, da 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 da. And I'm like, who the heck cuts out sugar? Like that doesn't even sound normal to me, because I love to bake, I love to cook. And I'm like, sugar's a staple. Like, this lady's insane. But then she talked about all the health benefits. So it kind of like got me thinking. So I said to my husband, like, hey, like thinking of cutting out sugar. What are your thoughts? He's like, nope. He's like, you're on your own.
You're on your own.
Exactly. That's what he said. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, okay, well, I make all the food, so it's going to happen. And if you're welcome to start cooking if you want to. And he's like, then I'll do that. But anyways, sorry. I don't know how to turn off my notifications when I'm doing this. Anyways,
All good.
did you hear that?
No.
No,
No, we didn't hear
mine was
anything,
pinging
actually.
too, so don't sweat it.
Oh, I totally heard the thing. Okay. Anyway, so I experimented with a whole bunch of diets, like Whole30, keto, paleo. I tried plant-based. I tried carnivore. So I've tried like every extreme.
So you went like sugar, like no, you really wanted to go like no added sugar.
Yeah, so Whole30 was the first one, and that one has no sugar, like no honey, no maple syrup, nothing.
Zero.
Like that one is zero. The only sugar you could get is from fruit, and that was it.
Yeah, so if it's not in the plant or vegetable, you ain't getting sugar.
Exactly. And that was tough.
Yeah.
That sounds a little,
Yeah,
that's a little.
It's extreme. It's extreme.
daunting.
It's very extreme.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I'd be like, I know. If I'm your husband, I'd be, yeah, you're on your own on this one. Yeah,
But it was only 30 days. It was 30 days.
Jesus,
So,
still sounds long.
I know. It was, but I actually felt really good coming out of it. I felt better. I lost a little weight. I just had a little more clarity, had a little more energy. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then keto was the one that really did it for me, though. That was a couple years later, did keto. That's when the brain fog just left. It was gone. Like I was so clear, had so much energy. And then I became pregnant with my second. And then I was like, okay, I want to see if I can use this lifestyle to manage my blood sugars, because it helps. It's known to help. But because I'm pregnant, I'm going to eat a little more carbs. So I'm going to add more fruits and veggies back into my diet. At the time, 2018, it was like not okay. Like they're like, oh, if you do keto, you're going to get this crazy disease and your body's become very toxic and you're going to like harm the baby. So everyone advised against it. And then I found one article that said, if you're ready, like adapted to being a keto diet or like a keto lifestyle where your body's burning fat for fuel versus carbs, then you should be fine. So I went with that. Then I completely managed the diabetes with food. And it was like mind blowing that it worked.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Wow.
one drop of insulin. The diabetes doctor like looked at me like, what are you doing? Like, she has this red pen that she loves to
Yeah.
circle all the spikes in blood sugar.
Yeah.
She didn't circle one thing. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, I just cut out highly processed foods and refined sugars and grains. And she's like, okay, well, it's working.
It's working. Yeah.
But she seemed confused by it. So anyways, so that's, and then when I was pregnant at that time, in order to satisfy my cravings, because I get mad cravings, I just made my own version of what's known as fat bombs. So it's like something sweet with a high portion of fat so that it satiates you, and then low carb. And it's like, it's like you can use chocolate, you can use fruit, you can use a whole bunch of things. So I made that, and it helped me get through the day when I had cravings.
Wow,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
What's,
how I kind of.
What's an
idea.
example of like a fat bomb?
Yeah.
So you can use something like a base would be like cream cheese or butter or coconut oil
Okay.
as like a base. And then in
Yep.
it, you can mix it with like fresh berries, like so strawberries. And then,
Okay.
so for once I would do cream cheese, strawberries, and then I would use like those monk fruit drops from Sweet Monk.
Yep.
And then blend it together and then put it in the ice cube trays and then keep it in the freezer. And
Okay.
whenever I wanted one, I would just eat one.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can do the same thing
Okay.
with coconut oil, with like melted chocolate, peanut butter, blend it together, put it in the fridge or freezer. Whenever you wanted one, you just pop one. And it really does satisfy your sweet tooth cravings and then your hunger cravings. So
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm walking through my house self too. I'm trying to think, okay, yeah, I could do the peanut butter fruit kind of thing. Like I'm good with that one. Not big
And
on
I could never
coconut oil. Not butter. I
Yeah.
can do butter all day. I mean, that's an
I
easy
love
one.
butter.
I love butter too. I do. I just love butter.
I can't tell you guys. I think it would gross our audience out, but I love butter.
I love butter.
It's
I I think it's a safe space here.
Yeah, it has to be because I like butter and like olive oil, like
Oh.
those two
Yeah.
fats. Like I could just
Yeah.
it's impossible. I don't even know what I cook without them.
Yeah. So
Sometimes
I
both.
put butter in my coffee. I do that. Sometimes I just have nice thin slices of grass-fed butter as a snack, and my kids do too. They love it. They're like, "Can we have butter?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Good, man. Love butter.
But olive oil.
You
I'm
guys are
learning
my
about olive
people.
oil.
Oh, I love fat on fat. Like, because
Oh,
Yep.
if you add a little butter to the olive oil, you sort of increase the flash point, right? Because olive oil's got a lower
Yep,
flash
yep.
point.
yeah.
And you just like, I
I
mean,
do that.
like fat on fat. I mean, seriously, come on. How do you
Like
go
a
wrong?
really nice piece of sourdough with salted
Oh my
butter and then
God.
drizzled
Mhm.
with olive oil and a little bit of flake salt.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
like then fat on salt. Like, she's Louise. That's like heaven.
Oh, so good.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry.
I'm glad there's people like me.
So hungry.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Oh
Wow,
my gosh.
okay.
That's awesome.
So anyway,
Okay.
so you got
So
your
Saffron,
second pregnancy is
okay.
completely different than the first one.
completely.
You
Like
got,
I
no gestational
zero.
diabetes, like zero.
So I
like
had it. I had it gestational
but
diabetes.
managed by
Totally managed with
by
food.
diet now.
Didn't have to take insulin. Didn't have to eat this ridiculous diet. Didn't have
That's
to do my
awesome.
walks. Like it was just.
Right.
It was great, and I felt great. And then baby came out, Amelia, and I was healthy. She was healthy. Everything went well. But so, and I had no intention of ever like creating a business with the fat bombs that I ate. I just really enjoyed them, and I actually tried to find them online because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be going back to work. What can I buy that will kind of fill this need?
Mhm.
But then shortly after the birth of Amelia, I had like a life-threatening experience because there was still placenta in my body and it wasn't coming out, and
Oh.
this caused me to hemorrhage, have a severe hemorrhage, and I lost like 2.5 liters of blood in like less than an hour.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was very scary, and like the idea of it used to just like bring me to tears, but now when I think about it, I use that as a tool to be like, if I can survive a near death, I can survive anything.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah. So I got rushed to OR. I remember I couldn't talk. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't do anything. All I could hear was like the chaos around me. And then I was out, and my husband said I was gone for like 4 or 5 hours. And he didn't know if he was going to get the happy doctor or if he was going to get the sad doctor. He just was sitting there holding our newborn. The room was covered in my blood, and it was just, so.
Jesus.
Pretty traumatic. But I remember waking up from that, and the first thing I thought was like, I did it. Like, I'm here. I survived. Like, holy smokes. Like, yeah. So, and then they set you up with counseling after that because it's quite an experience.
Oh shit, that scares the hell out of you, right?
Totally. And I remember the psychiatrist was like, okay, like, let's talk about what you went through. And I'm just like, looking at her, I'm like, I need to help people. She's like, pardon? And I'm like, I need to do something. Like, I'm here. That's not for like no reason. Like, I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm like, I need to help people, and I just need to figure out how we're going to do that. And she's like, oh, okay. That's great. That's wonderful. Like, she looked at my husband. My husband's like, I don't even know who she is right now. And I was like, no, I need to help people. I need to figure it out. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I made these snacks that helped me so much. I'm just going to make those and help people who are maybe looking for an alternative. They have diabetes, they have anything, just someone who wants a healthy snack as an option for what's out there. And then that's when I decided to, start a business.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. I'm like Phil thinking, okay. I mean, you go from, that's a pretty traumatic thing to, I'm going to start a business.
Well, I just had to find a way to help other people. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But,
it helped me so much. So,
well, I guess it helps your healing, but it's not, I don't think that's probably, I think when people have that, the first reaction is, I'm going to make sure I holiday more, probably work a little less, like enjoy life. You know what I mean? Like I think it goes down probably a selfish side, which is nothing wrong with that. That's, I'd probably be more that as opposed to, oh my God, I'm going to go help the planet now. I mean, it's good, but it seems like I wouldn't have gone down that path. I would have probably been the more selfish one. Quit work, holiday, got to holiday more, got to enjoy life.
Yeah.
We can podcast, Phil, but just no work.
No. Yeah. I think the so I think the other parts that would fill stuff in is maybe we've heard about the journey there. What's your work background like?
What's your
Did
background? What did you do
Yeah,
before
because
this?
you got pretty serious about the food stuff. Kind of had a discovery along the way. Do you have that in your background? Like, did you work in food before this or anything like that?
Part-time chef, sous
Never.
chef.
I love to cook. I mean, I watched the Food Network when I was younger and was
Yeah.
obsessed with like making food and like,
Yeah.
old school, like Ina Garten, Giada De Laurentiis, like those were the chefs that I would watch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Cause I love comfort food. Love. No, it's just a passion. I've always loved cooking and baking for people. It always made me happy when someone would take a bite of something and enjoy themselves. Like it made me like so joyful. So, but it was just a passion. So my background is sales and marketing. I was a sales rep for a children's sleepwear company. I was a territory manager for Canada Bread. So there was my little dip in food, but it was that bread. I worked in the golf industry for a long time. I worked in tech for a bit. I worked at Best Buy Future Shop back in the day when Future Shop was still around.
Right,
So
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow,
So
okay.
no food.
no
It makes
food.
it even
Makes it,
more
yeah, because there's
amazing.
no lineage.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of almost a quantum leap to get to where you sort of are.
Yeah, I mean, the retirement plan for me was always to have like a brunch joint one day, like when I was done working, where I'm
Right.
just making food for people and just having fun doing that and having regulars come in. And so that's a one day thing, which still one day can happen. But that was the only thing I had for food. Besides that, it's always been like fashion, apparel. Yeah, very different.
Yeah, the brunch thing I identify with. I want that.
I get
too.
that.
Or
I
a
could
coffee
do that.
bar, right? But like a brunch, no disrespect, right? But it's like eggs, pancakes. I can do those, right? Like once you've had kids, those are. I do this in my sleep, right? Like.
Totally get it though.
But to go into chocolate and then to get it, like, as chocolate is not, I think that's the one thing I learned about chocolate is it's not straightforward at all. It's kind of a complicated thing, no? Like,
I had zero intention of starting a chocolate company. Even today, I'm like, do I own a chocolate company? Like, is that what I do? Or is it like a snack company? Like, I'm trying to figure it out because I knew nothing about chocolate. So everything I learned, and I mean, I had this idea, like, I decided to start this business February 2020, right? And then 1 month later, the whole world shut down.
Yeah, we shut down.
I literally learned how to make chocolate by watching YouTube videos, Googling, I think there's the guy who's called like The Alchemist and he's all about chocolate. And I thought about taking an online chocolate course, but all those things were centered around using a sweetener that was in powder form. Right. So there was nothing about using a liquid sweetener, which was what I was determined to do because it had to be monk fruit. I don't care. I don't want to use anything else than monk fruit. And it had to be the pure juice form because the powder is still not approved by Health Canada yet. And every article was like, cannot use liquid. So I tried finding like honey as like a close substitute. And there was like very little on that too. And the technicality of using honey just seemed way too extreme. Like you had to sous vide the cocoa butter to get it to this certain temperature and then do another thing. And then you add the honey and then it might work. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
It sounds really complicated.
It's too complicated. So I just literally went into my kitchen and just figured it out and just tested and played and watched what would happen when I did this or that.
So why monk fruit though?
Yeah.
Sorry, Phil.
No, I was going to ask exactly the same thing actually.
Like why monk fruit? Why not? I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't get that lineage at all. I mean, there's other sugar subs or whatever you want to call them, or
totally there are, and they're great, and I'm so glad they are there. But for me, because during my pregnancy, monk fruit was the safest alternative for being pregnant and for nursing, because it's been used for like centuries in traditional Chinese medicine.
Right.
It was discovered by the monks. Monk fruit. It has like.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so that was the main reason why I did it. And then there's also health benefits because it's like an anti-inflammatory. So the sweetness you taste from monk fruit is called Margroside B, which is the compound in the fruit that they extract for the sweetness, and it's an antioxidant. It's known to have good benefits in the gut. So there was just so many health benefits to it.
Okay.
And in the States, I mean, there were already companies using monk fruit extract in powder form for their chocolates. And I was like, well, why can't they do that in Canada? And then that's when I learned, oh, you can't use their extract. So I was like, okay, well, someone's selling the juice here, so the juice must be an option. And I started looking at labels, and there were some companies selling bars and stuff with monk fruit juice. So I'm like, okay, this is something that I can put in my packaging, in my product. So yeah, that's why it had to be monk fruit juice. Just because for me, it's a super sweetener, and I really want more people to use it, more food producers to use it. And I really think in the next couple of years, like, you're going to see it in a lot of products.
I think the reason I asked, because at the time, the sweetener options that were sort of authorized by Health Canada were the synthetics, which I don't know how you get a synthetic before you get natural, but that's a whole different argument. And, you know, like stevia was fine. Like there was stuff that we were allowed to use. Like monk was one of those things we just couldn't use, which made no sense to me because I knew it was used in the States. It was used all over Asia. Right. And we just, for whatever reason, we couldn't use them. And we never really understood why. But trying to find a sweetener or a sugar sub, we'll call it, that didn't have the synthetic back end, which is horrific, or a stevia back end, which is really not pleasant either, very bitter. And even if you cut it with erythritol and all that, it's not the same. It's got like I don't know, like a manufactured feel. I don't know if that makes any sense, but doesn't feel natural. Do you know what I mean?
And then not only that, like, I just, for my own personal experience, like having those kind of sugar subs, like erythritol, whatever, like if I had too much, I would have a stomach ache.
Well,
right?
most people do. Yeah, you get the runs.
Well, I can taste it. I don't like it.
I don't like the taste.
I taste it on the edge of my tongue. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have that than sugar. And, you know, definitely that over synthetics.
Yeah.
But not my go-to.
Yeah.
I'd rather go back to sugar.
There's still some studies on stevia. Like there's two camps. One's like it's awesome, which I think it is a great alternative. But then there's some where like if you have too much, it disrupts your gut microbiome. It can alter your DNA. Like there's still, or that it won't spike your insulin. Like it won't make your body release insulin, but it won't spike your blood sugar, but it will still make your body release insulin, which confuses me. And I'm still trying to understand that. But anyways, there's just so many. There's so many.
And we'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Field Agent Canada. We want to talk to you about their program called the Buy and Try program. And it's a pretty cool program because it allows you to get category feedback. It allows you to get product feedback and then retention feedback. So what does that mean? So category feedback, you can see what field agent consumers are buying on shelf. And then when you encourage them, when you use Buy and Try, they purchase your product at a specified store, and then they tell you about the feedback in the in-store experience. Then they take it home, they try the product, and they give you feedback about the product experience itself. So does it taste great? Packaging, do my kids love it? Those sort of things.
Not just about the product on this one. So they'll actually even tell me where they found it in a store, how they found it.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
and so
that's a little different than just the normal buy and try, right?
Yeah, correct. Because now you're getting a shelf experience if you're trying to figure out what sections you want to be in.
Did they find it displayed? Did they find it on shelf?
It was hard to find, or or I couldn't find it. I asked the store, and the store couldn't find it. Right. So it took me a long time to find it, those sort of things. Right.
Interesting.
So then you get feedback when they get home, they open it. Was it hard to open? Did the box rip? Now I've got a hard time keeping it. And then does it taste good? Does it taste awful? This stuff's disgusting. All of those things you get. And then the shopper will also tell you what their repurchase intention is. Like, now that I've tried it, would I buy it again? And then they actually share a repurchase for you when they actually buy it, again. So that
in real time.
Correct. But all of this allows you to, like a brand, to figure out, what is happening, so like a product like that you and I run, like OGB, we could put it through this, and then people could tell us. What we know already is that on our 300-gram bags, they hate
we
the
don't talk
opening
about
on the
that.
bag. We don't talk about that,
We don't talk about
but we hate the opening on the bags, and we're sure consumers do too. And one day we'll fix it, right? But they love the product enough that they'll keep buying it on shelf despite
Right.
the bad
Right.
bag opening, which we also know is true, right? But all of these things you could find out as you're building product or iterating on products. So
Or
that
we think those are true, and you may find out that nobody does care. It's only the only opening bugs me and you,
that's true.
and
That is-
maybe the product's okay that way,
Yeah, that is
or maybe
true.
the product's too sweet, or
Yeah.
maybe not sweet enough.
Yeah. And then, it's one thing to ask all your friends, did you try it? Yes, I love it. And then would you buy it again? Yes, I would, except you don't see any purchases come back
Right.
again.
Not because they're not going to be that
This
honest.
is but this is a real consumer who will
I
actually
really like that.
repurchase. And then when they do repurchase, you'll actually see them come back. So then now you've got a sense on
Yeah.
possibly turns or continuity, right? Like things like that are kind of
I like that because I think the insights you can pull on that. I mean, then you can pull different placement insights, promotion insights, pricing insights, etc. It's no wonder that Field Agent is 12 years old and probably going to make it to 100, because that's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool.
We'd like to be clear. Jeff Doucette is not 12 years old.
Jeff Doucette might be 12 years old, but he is not 12 years old.
But Field Agent is 12 years old.
Happy
And,
birthday, Field
and
Agent.
happy
That's
birthday,
pretty impressive.
Field
Good
Agent.
job on you and the team. I mean, you guys offer a really cool service for brands out there. Even if you do act like 12, that's really got nothing to do with the commercial here.
And now back to the episode.
Many things.
Huh.
So then that's why it was monk fruit. Monk fruit to me,
Monk
it was
fruit.
safe. It was natural. I personally enjoy the taste because there is a taste to monk fruit too. Like if you have the pure stuff, there is also a taste to it.
Right.
And it's an antioxidant. Like it's like win, 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 win.
Okay, no, fair enough. It wasn't at that time. You're definitely not running down a path with 1,000 people, right? You're pretty
Even
much
now,
on
I'm
a
not.
path. Yeah, I would say even now, it's still not. It's become way more popular for sure, but
But I'm
it's
still
still
educating so
Yeah.
much. Like
Okay.
what's monk fruit? Why monk fruit? And
Or
I get
why
that
monk
question
fruit?
in my demos all the time. They're like, what is it? So
okay. Fair enough. I was more curious. Okay.
No, but again, like I think it's kind of amazing, right? Because you're now down past that. You don't have any background in. You're learning how to make chocolate.
Yeah, you
and
don't know
you're-
chocolate. You don't really know the
Yeah.
sugar side. Like if you're walking down on unknown,
Yeah.
you don't probably know CPG really at that point.
no,
To the level that
I
to
thought
learn.
it would be like retail because I was a rep and I would go into stores and it was so easy to sell clothes into stores. So I'm like, oh, food's
How
going to
hard
be the
can this
exact
be,
same.
right?
I'm just going to walk in and sell my stuff and people are going to be like, yeah, we'll take it. No.
no,
Not so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not so
no,
much.
no.
Yeah.
yeah, you learn
Wow.
that pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you start messing around with chocolate and monk fruit,
Yes.
and then
And
Yeah,
I
go
knew
ahead.
how I wanted it to taste. Like I
Okay.
could picture it in my mind. Like I wanted it to have like a nice bite on the outside and then just be nice, creamy truffle like experience on the inside. So I could already taste it before it
Perfect.
was conceived. So like I just kept trying to work towards that. And then because I was like, I want something that's not using butter, cream cheese, or coconut oil because you can't bring it with you. So something that's more shelf stable is cocoa butter. You can take it with you on the go if you needed to. So or just keep it in the fridge if you're not eating it. So that was my solution. And then I started messing around and then like get family to try because again, COVID, very small bubble. So it was just a few people testing it out and then I would test it out a lot too and like, live my day, need a snack, okay, pop it in. How do I feel? Okay, good. Like just kept testing and doing all that and tweaking. And I did that for like 6-7 months before I kind of landed on something.
So what is it now? So what you finally landed on? What is it? So like it's cocoa butter, monk fruit.
With-
Like
yeah,
what
with
are
the
we-
nut butter.
What are we
Okay.
eating?
So at the time I called it functional fudge because what I was making was a variation of keto fudge.
Right.
Right? So no butter, no like condensed milk, no cream, no sugar. So I was making like keto version, which uses nut butters kind of as a base.
Okay.
So I was using like peanut butter, almond butter were my two flavors that I started with. Then I put in some MCT powder in there for like extra added healthy fat, brain fuel. I put a little bit of oat fiber in there. And then, yeah, it was just a little bit of vanilla, Himalayan pink salt, and then the monk fruit.
Nice.
And then,
Simple.
so
Clean.
yeah, so I called, clean. And I called it functional because the ingredients that I chose all had like evidence-based health benefits
Right.
that support like balancing blood sugar levels, helping like with aiding in weight loss. But that was again not an intention. But there was just so many health benefits. There's polyphenols. There was like stuff like prebiotics in it. So that's kind of why I chose those ingredients, because I really wanted someone to eat something they could enjoy and then feel really good about eating and feel good afterwards, and also like do good for their body.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that product now we're talking, so we're toward the tail end of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I launched it in December.
and you launched where and under that brand, under the brand Functional.
No, the brand was I Heart Fat Fudge at the time.
I Heart Fat Fudge.
Which is still the company name.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was originally going to be Fat Fudge, but there's a company in California called Fat Fudge, which is spelled PH, and I didn't know that if the spelling was different, but it was phonetically the same in a similar category, then I couldn't use it, and she was trademarked.
Yeah, you get trademark infringement.
Yeah, so I just added the I Heart, and then that's how it. So it was I Heart Fat Fudge, and I was selling functional fudge. So that's what I launched as. I started online, so I made a website, and then I sold in one store right by me called Everything Keto, and they're a keto store, and I was very keto focused when I first launched this brand.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Made sense to me too.
Okay. So how'd it go?
I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would have been easy, but again, I couldn't do demos. I couldn't like just go into stores. I really couldn't do anything. So I really utilized that one store and like social media. So Instagram, and then just honestly, I just hoped for the best. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's okay though, but that's part of the story, right? I mean,
no, that is part of the story. Yeah. So what happened?
So what happened? I sold some. There was a lot of excitement, but there was not much feedback, and then the sales weren't repeating. So I'm like, okay, something's up, but I wasn't sure what it was. But I kind of just, didn't do much because I didn't know what to do. And then I had the opportunity to do a trade show. Have you guys heard of Good to Grow with Andrea Gray Grant?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So she does a trade show for like small food developers and stuff like that, and it's really great. She gets you like in front of buyers. So I applied for that, went to that, and I went there with the intention of changing the packaging. Was still going to keep the same brand, but just the one feedback actually I got from everyone was the packaging is not good, because I had a hard time getting the chocolate in the packaging. Okay. And the people had an even harder time getting the chocolate out of the package.
Oh, okay.
And like that was
we
all
can relate
done,
to that.
Yeah, and it was all done like online because I couldn't like meet with my supplier. So like literally everything was email, measuring, and like guessing. It was horrible. I remember those days.
That's hard when you don't come from CPG, because when you're in the industry long enough, there are only so many configs, right? So after a while, what everybody calls it is different, but as soon as you see it, you can envision what it is, right? Like I'm not surprised by most of the packages I see now, because you kind of go, oh, I understand how this works, But for you, the packaging must have looked like a lunar lander, right? And then trying to envision how you fill these things or how you pack them, seal them.
Everything. I don't even know how to seal them, and I'm like, how do you seal packages, wrappers? And then there's a thing called a heat sealer, and I'm like, what is a heat sealer? Oh, and I also didn't know what to put on packaging. And like, I know there's like a list on like food inspection website, and like, but that's foreign to me. So I literally like went to the store, bought a couple brands that I'm like, okay, well, they've been doing this for a while, they must know. And I laid them all out in front of me, and I looked at them, I'm like, okay, they all have a brand name. And I wrote that down. Okay, they all have this, and like I just copied what everyone else was doing. And then that's how I figured out what to put on my first package.
That's actually pretty ingenious.
Not the
I
worst
don't-
way to
I
do
don't-
it. I mean,
Yeah, I
seriously,
don't know
better
of
than
that
just
many people that would
guessing.
Do that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a little easier
Yeah.
probably get a consultant to come in and just help you design it, but that's okay.
Didn't
go down
do,
a
I had a graphic designer, but she
Yeah.
didn't do packaging. So she literally
Yeah.
just like
That's
did
yeah.
what
I
I,
know
I
it.
remember.
Those are
my first
misses, though,
iteration-
right?
Yeah. My first iteration just like had the product name, didn't even have a picture of the product. And I was like, oh, maybe I should put a picture of the product. So she like hand drew one, like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Chocolate. Yeah. And we went with it. And then now like there's pictures of like the actual product.
Okay.
And any learning. But so yeah, so I did the trade show.
So
that's
what
when
did
I
you
got,
learn
like,
from the trade show?
I had again learned more that I still didn't know what I was doing.
But I know, and the reason I'm asking is, you know why? Because I think there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast that are probably in the spot we're talking about right now, your spot. Like you're 4 years later, 3 years later, they're
Yeah.
right there, and they're not getting the things you need to start looking. Like you said, for example, you put it in the stores, didn't go gangbusters. You're not getting a repeat, so you're starting to think, okay, like.
What is it?
Like, what's
I just
why?
drawn enough people.
Yeah,
Like,
why?
okay, so
Yeah.
what is it? And then you'll find reasons. You'll think, okay, you know what? I just need more people or whatever. Maybe not knowing that, you know what? Maybe the packaging sucks. Maybe it doesn't resonate because I don't know what the hell I'm buying. Maybe the branding is wrong. Maybe the title's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't call it, blank. I should call it something else. So is this what the trade show sort of did for you? Like, did it help you get some clarity, or did it just throw more shit on the table?
No, it threw more stuff because you know what? So I'm forgetting something. So the other thing, so you're pointing out one, like no one knew what functional fudge was. One, another thing, no one knew what monk fruit was.
Mhm.
3,
Actually, at
my
that time,
product my product was refrigerated. So refrigerated chocolate.
That's another
like,
complication, right?
another
Yeah.
yeah. So the trade show really taught, like, because I remember talking to buyers and they're like, oh, okay, like, where does this go? And I'm like, oh, it goes in the fridge. And they're like, fridge? They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, it's refrigerated chocolate because it's nutrient dense. It has like ingredients that can go bad. So we keep it in the fridge to extend the shelf life. And they're like, my fridge space is very limited. And I'm like, oh.
And really
that's where-
expensive.
Yeah. And I'm like, but that's where it belongs. So I got asked so many questions, and it was hard getting the attention of buyers too. So that was another thing that I learned again, because I thought it would be easy from my previous experience. It's different having a brand that's very well known and established than having a brand that no one knows anything about, right? So
Also
I
in a
think that was-
space, right? When you're selling Canada bread, there's only two of you.
yeah,
It's Canada bread or Weston. That's what you got. You go with one. You pick one.
Yep.
Right? And it's bread. I mean, I don't need to be educated on bread. Bread's bread. I mean, there's variations of bread, but you got an audience. You got a consumer. You got buyers. Like everybody knows bread. You come in with functional fudge. There's a chocolate that needs to be in the refrigerator. It's and people think, what? Like, what the hell do you want me to do with this?
Oh
Like
my
a
God.
fridge? I'm not gonna put it in a freaking fridge. You put it in the fridge.
If I spoke to you guys like 3 years ago when I had this idea, I just could imagine you guys being like, what are you doing?
Well, it's because
Oh.
it's just a different
Yeah.
spot. It's
So
this.
different.
It doesn't make. I'll give you an. I'll tell you what. Because digress for a second. But I talked to Jake before they launched, like midday, and when he told me it was going to be refrigerated, I said, "Geez, buddy, that's bizarre in a lot of ways because it's just not where chocolate is found right now. So unless you really got a lot of money and a lot of time, and you're really going to pound it, you're in white space." In Canada, I know there was a few brands in the States but you're really in white space. You're educating buyers because your buyer reaction is, I think if you ask Phil, it'd be the same. Like that's a normal reaction. Like, why would I put chocolate in the fridge? Like refrigerated space is a premium. There's only so many doors and so many electrical things I can have in my store. Shelf
But-
space is at a premium already.
And that
At
was
least I
our
can
reaction,
manage
right?
that.
Because I think the other one was, okay, great. If you sell a buyer on it, you're
Yep.
only halfway there, right? Because now you need to teach consumers
Why am I buying chocolate
that
in the fridge set?
you're going to buy chocolate like down, you think of your conventional grocery where you have chocolate is front of the aisle or down the snack aisle.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
now I've got to teach a consumer to make a detour and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 or 6 aisles over, and then to know to look for it in between ice cream and frozen fruit, or in the, because now they've moved it to like the refrigerated,
Well, if the refrigerated now is it
grocery
what,
section
yogurt?
over on the other side, right?
Butter?
Your
Where am I
yogurt, right?
finding
But
it?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know what I
it's-
mean? Like, so it's a lot. It's a lot to think.
Like you picked, I guess what
Yeah.
we're trying to show people is that,
Yeah.
and thank God bless you for being as resilient and you are, but you picked a really difficult, you picked a lot of difficulties.
Yeah.
Like if you were to
Which I
line up
had
all
no
the shit to
clue.
put on a plate that's really difficult, like you decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do them all. Everything that's difficult, I'm going to do that. That's what
Yeah.
I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't recognize that at the time when I was in it. I was just like, this makes sense. This is what I'm going to do. No one else is
Yeah.
doing it, so I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. So
No, but that's
but
amazing
now-
too. Yeah, that is amazing, right?
That's all
Yeah.
good though. It's
Yeah.
all good. So you do the show, you start learning, okay, shit.
yeah, like these are the reactions I'm getting. Okay. And then I get one buyer who goes, actually, she wasn't even there. It was her team. They're like, this is a really good product. Like, we want to try it. And that was Palm Natural Market. And I was like, you guys have 2 stores. Like, that's amazing.
It's a chain.
It's a chain. Yeah. It's a local chain. So then, so then that happened. And then I made a lot of great connections, and, you try to follow up and everything, and it doesn't happen. And that's fine. I mean, it just means that it's not your time yet. And then after launching, I decided I was going to do a rebrand and reposition the product, which, I mean, it could have been too early to do because it wasn't long enough to know what was going on. But I was just like, my customers aren't necessarily keto. Like, I started asking questions to the customers and sending surveys like, why do you eat it? Like, what is your lifestyle? Like, what do you do? What is your diet? Like, I just asked all these questions, and they were all sorts of diets: standard Canadian diet, paleo, somewhere like maybe 1 or 2 were keto, but everyone was just normal.
So what made you think of doing that? Just let me back up. So you decided to do survey because someone told you to survey, you just thought I'd survey?
I just thought to survey because I was just like, who's my customer?
Okay, just so we're all clear, not necessarily the most normal way to do it. Most people just don't go to the logical. The logical is, ask people who are buying it. Why do you buy it? A lot of people don't do that. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
No, it's they don't.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know.
No, that's good though.
Okay. I asked, and then but the common thing that I was seeing was that they're all health conscious. Like, they were very active, they liked being outdoors, they read labels, they care about what they put into their body and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, keto is a way, but it's not like the way. And keto could be a trend that's gonna go up and then go down and then
It
fizzle
had
out.
negative connotations too, and there's people that may be following keto, but they're not keto. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, they buy something keto because they know, okay, there's going to be no sugar in this, but they're not necessarily keto. Exactly. So I just was like, you know what? I feel like my product is more just for someone who's conscious or mindful of what they put into their body. So then that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to rebrand. And I came up with a few names. And then, so the people who answered the first survey, I sent it to them, like, what names do you like? And then one of them was Mindful Monk. And then that one got selected by 50%. And then I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to go with. And then it's funny because after I went Mindful Monk, everyone's like, oh, so why Mindful Monk? And I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, why? And then I was like,
popular choice.
Yeah.
well, that was
the
my
choices I
answer.
gave people. This is what they said.
Yeah.
But then the
That's
meaning
hilarious.
was, like, one, being more mindful of like what we put into our body, why we're eating it, like even where your food's coming from. Because I feel like, some people don't even think about that. And then monk, because my promise is that I will only ever use monk fruit, nothing else. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So that's where we are today, Mindful Monk. And I have changed the flavor because, like, okay. So let me retract a bit. So we did the first trade show with Andrea, then I did last year's trade show with Andrea, which was my second one, because I rebranded. I had a new flavor coming, and oh wait, was that last year? No, I'm getting my years confused. It's all a blur.
2020 on has been a blur for everybody. Don't worry about it. None of us know what year it is.
Okay, so 2021 was my first trade show.
Yep.
2022 was my second, and that's when I landed a distributor.
Okay.
Because I landed a key account, and the key account wouldn't take me unless I had a distributor.
Okay.
And the distributor wouldn't take me unless I had a key account.
Yep.
So I let both of them know, you guys are both on the fence. One won't go without the other. So one had to give. And then the key account's like, okay, we'll tell the distributor, I'll take you. And then I told them, and then they're like, okay, you're listed. And I was like, ah. So that was really cool. That happened July, August of 2022.
And who's that? Who was the account?
So the account that gave me the opportunity was Georgia Main. So it was
Lovely.
Mike, which was really cool.
Wow.
Mike's an awesome
and he's-
guy. See, nice
he's
guy.
so nice. He saw my product the year before, and he was like, "I see what you're doing here, but
Still a little,
there's still, still more to do." So, and I respect that. And I also met John Luca, which is my distributor at that show too. And they're like, "We love what you're doing here, but we're going to keep talking because I see something here, but you're not there yet. Just you need to do a little more."
Mhm.
So, and they both took me on in 2022, signed on, and then by the time I launched with them, the market was opening up again, so I could do demos, which was huge for me because that's when I could ask really good questions like right then and there. And it's really funny because when I launched this business, remember I had the intention I'm just going to go to stores and sell it. And like Futurepreneur, which is one of the places I got funding, they're like, "Oh, are you going to do markets? Or are you going to do like, get some feedback from customers?" I'm like, "Oh, no. I'm just going to go straight to store." And they're like, "Oh, well, most new food companies do markets and stuff like that to like, gain some knowledge about like the market fit, whether or not like any feedback on the product." And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't need to do that." So I came totally not knowing what I was doing.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I am where I am and I'm grateful for how I got here. But yeah, so when I was doing the demos, like I just kept getting this face like a not disgust, but like a what is that? And I started calling it like the monk fruit face because it was just all these people unfamiliar with monk fruit. And even like the really health conscious customers who knew what monk fruit was, loved the product, bought it anyway, but they did say like, "Oh, the monk fruit flavor is just a little strong." So after I kept hearing that over and over again, I revised the recipe. And I did that earlier this year. And so that just got released over the summer, and it's been like huge, like in the sense where the feedback's been so positive, and like it's now it's apparent it's a different sweetener, but it's enjoyable. And that was my goal. I just wanted to make my product a little more palatable. I know it's not for everyone, and that's not my intention, but just for the person who is looking for something like this, I want them to be able to enjoy it.
For sure.
So,
But you're receptive and open to the feedback, which is again good. And a lot of people aren't. They just get stuck in what they make is what they make, or it's they know, right? It's good to actually ask. I mean, and that's good. I like Monk Face because it forced you to say, okay, like what is it? And if it's too strong, it's too strong.
Yeah.
Right. Because what your palate's good for, you're trying to appeal to the masses too. Right. Because if you want a lot of people to try this, you got to be appealing then to just a larger group. Right. So where are you now? So that was Georgia, Maine was your first sort of big
account.
Now, so that's a year later. We're literally a year and a month later.
Mhm.
So what's going on? Where are you? How's it going?
Good. I launched a new flavor. I launched hazelnut over the summer.
Nice.
I'm in about 80 stores now, which is
Nice.
crazy.
Lower Mainland?
Lower Mainland, yeah. So I launched in Whole Foods in June in BC.
Perfect.
Body Energy Club. You can find it at Nature's Fair, Choices Market. A little bit on the couple stores on the island. It's in a store called Dad's Organics. I think that's in Saskatoon, and a little bit in Alberta. So it's
you've got some
happening.
distribution.
Yeah.
And it's selling. Customers are buying.
It's still slow. It's still slow, definitely, because people still don't know where to find it.
Right.
So that's something, but it's moving and reorders are happening. I'm learning about this thing called velocity. You guys are both smiling at me. Like,
Well, because you make me laugh because it's funny too, because you came from bread and you just took it all for granted.
Totally. Oh my God.
No, it's because your commodity was different. You're in a whole different world.
So different. But being bread helped because some of the store managers or grocery managers are actually coming up again. And I'm like that's how I got into Stongs. Like, because I knew the grocery manager.
That's awesome.
Buyer, and then we chit-chatted about back in the day, and I was like, "Oh, so I'm here because I started my own product." And then he's like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And I'm like, "Sweet."
Yeah, they'll give you a chance, right? So you're still in refrigerated, right?
Still in refrigerated, either by kombucha or, like you were saying, yogurt or milk, which is
okay.
So confusing.
And now at least there are other players in there, so you're starting to be able to. There's not just you. You got Midday. There's you. There's a few other options. Like you can start.
Yeah.
People are actually going to the set knowing that there is this category now.
It's existing, and which is cool because even there's some retailers that I'm working with, and they're like they understand what's coming. Like they understand that this is a thing in the South,
Right.
like you were saying in the States. So like I think Nature's Fair's most recent store in Kamloops, they actually built a refrigerated snack section,
Good for them.
and
Smart move.
I
Yeah.
thought that was awesome.
Smart
And
move.
Whole Foods gets it too. Like they are
Yeah.
building a refrigerated snack section in their
I'd expect it
area.
from them because they're obviously massive in the States. So you'd
Yeah.
assume that for Nature's Fair to do that, good for them. That's
I thought it was awesome.
that's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So are there
Wow.
any plans to potentially do a shelf stable as opposed to refrigerated, or are we staying in the refrigerated set? I'm just a question. If it's a
Yeah,
trade secret, don't say anything. If you don't want anybody to know, don't answer that.
No, great question, and I'm going to keep it in the fridge because to me, fridge is fresh and
Good.
it's natural, and it does go bad because I've left it out just to like see what happens.
Yeah.
And it gets moldy, so I'm like, hey, good. Microbes like my stuff. There's nutrients in it. Cool.
There's something
Okay.
to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If it
Cool.
if it was like
Really-
McDonald's and nothing happened after like 6
Well,
months,
it's like the
I'd be a little
Twinkie that will
concerned.
last for decades, and then you think,
Yeah.
well, that's good. Not really. Yeah, not really.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and
Wow.
then there's more coming. And
So more flavors coming, line extensions, or just plug
More
in
stores.
hard. More stores.
more stores. Yes,
Okay.
I'm growing that way.
Are
That way,
you-
I don't know.
Okay. I
Are
understood
you answering as many questions about monk fruit still, or is it starting to
Getting
kind
better?
of- yeah.
I'm still answering and educating a lot about monk fruit. You know what's interesting? It depends where I am. Like I did a demo at Whole Foods in West Van. Everyone there got it. Like
Yeah.
there was no
issues.
nothing, no issues. And then I did one in North Van, and I'm like, okay, they're close enough to each other where people will get it. No, the people who shopped at the North Van location were like, "What's monk
Really?
fruit?" Yeah, it was very interesting.
That's weird.
Very interesting. I know, because I'm like, they're relatively close. They're like 10 minutes.
Plus, it's
15
all the
minutes
same. It's
together.
the same type of consumer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's Whole Foods. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they're usually the ones that actually get it, right? They're usually a
Based
little
on what I
further
saw
ahead.
in the shopping carts, I'm going to say it's a different consumer based on
Really?
the cart. Yeah.
Okay.
Like what I was seeing in the cart, and I know it's creepy that I do that, but I do look
No,
at the
we do it.
cart.
Retailers. That's
we
what
do it.
retailers
Oh, do you?
Oh,
we all
absolutely.
do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God, you kidding me? We all did
Yeah.
that. I used
Okay,
to
I felt like
stand
I
in
was
front of
being
the
a
stores and look at people.
No.
We'd do in London Drugs. We'd stand there for many, many minutes where it was creepy, and that's what you'd be
Oh,
watching.
I get
It
thrown
was
out
not
of
the-
stores.
Yeah,
Like so when I work for Johnson and Johnson or Revlon, particularly in categories where they were women dominated. So I worked in feminine hygiene, pads, tampons, and liners. I
Mhm.
worked in cosmetics.
yeah. Men
I would get
standing in
thrown-
that
I
set.
would get asked to leave the store, right? Because I would, a guy peeking around a corner trying to figure out what women are
Like,
picking
why did you
for
grab that
menstrual
tampon
products.
versus that tampon?
Do you know what I
Isn't
mean?
it-
Like,
really?
please leave. And you're like, I'm with, and they're like, we don't care.
We don't
You
care.
gotta go, right? Like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really like, so we all do
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, it's very
Okay.
normal.
Yeah,
Don't,
totally normal. Totally.
not
But
even for a
can I-
minute, don't think about like,
And important though, because the insights if you're gonna, because you're still relatively new at this, the insights of doing that's what you should be doing. What
Yeah.
better way to learn more about the retailer you're in or the people? But what do they buy? Why do they buy? When you're doing your demos, you learn it's not just about selling product, which is obviously critical. We get it.
Yeah.
But it's about asking questions. Why are you buying this? What did you like? Monk face, what's that for? Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't ask that, you live in a land of delusion.
You
Like,
literally don't
you
know.
need to understand why people do what they do, because how else do you capitalize on them?
I want to share a really cool experience that happened.
Shoot.
So I was doing a demo in a
Yeah.
store, and this girl didn't even notice me, which is fine, and walked by, and I just looked in her cart, and I got really excited because I'm like, that is exactly what I would have in my cart if I was shopping. Like
That's
same
me.
brand,
This
same
she should be
product.
stopped.
Yeah. So she was looking at kombucha, and I was like, "Do you like chocolate?" It's like I just spat it out, and she was like, "Huh?" And I'm like, so, "Would you like to try some chocolate?" And she was like, "Sure." So she like sampled it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is delicious! I love this!" And looked at the ingredients. She's like, "These are amazing ingredients." And I was like, "I'm not gonna lie, I totally looked what was in your cart, and you are like my like shopping twin. Like I'd be buying everything you're buying for your family." And I thought you'd be a good fit for my chocolate. And then we started talking about what we eat, how we feed our family, why we started doing it. And it was just like, I made a friend, and it was literally because of what was in her cart.
Right.
And then she bought some product, and it was just that it was a really cool. That was such a cool experience, and I was like, I didn't think something like that could happen, and
It's true
then
though, right?
it's so cool. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if put it this way, like if you were sitting in the store and someone went by with Coca-Cola and Lay's and Nestle bars, you're not stopping the person for your typical product. You know what I mean? Like you can tell it's not the right fit. That's
For
why
sure.
you have to look at shit like that or ask those questions.
No,
Good for you.
you're so right. Yeah, it was
Good
cool.
for you.
But you're also in a category that brings joy. So no
Oh.
matter how you approach someone with, I've got some pretty great tasting. Do you
I
know
got
what I
some
mean?
really good
Like
chocolate. I mean,
it's
seriously.
totally different from, hey, can I ask you why you picked that tampon and not, you know?
Yeah.
Oh
You know,
man.
it's
Yeah.
really, it's not the same thing at all. It's awesome,
No.
right? Because you're, no matter how you ask that question, you're going to bring joy, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to say no to trying, right? Do
Unless
people
you're
say
allergic
no?
to chocolate, really and truly, most people will
Yeah,
try
if
it.
you're
Come
allergic
on.
to
No.
it, I guess.
You would think, and that's what I thought, because chocolate brings me
It's
joy. But
chocolate.
I've had people tell me, I hate chocolate. I do not like chocolate. Or the very kind people go, sorry, chocolate's not for me, which is the answer
Really?
I appreciate. But I've had someone give me a drink going, oh, I hate chocolate. And I'm like,
Really?
wow. Like that exists?
Yeah, you're
that was
actually a
shocking.
real person. Like this really happens. Like I can
This
understand you
really
have an
happens.
allergy, but I would think who doesn't like chocolate? Chocolate. I don't care if you may not like dark chocolate. You might not like milk chocolate. Like I'm not a milk chocolate fan, but I could swim in dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Do you know
No,
what I mean?
The person hated chocolate, and
Wow.
she let me know, and her
That's
face.
fine.
And I
Okay.
was,
No big
no, it's
deal.
totally fine. And I said, okay, well, thank you. Like I'm always grateful for just
Yeah.
every interaction I get. But I was so surprised. I'm like, someone hates chocolate? Like,
Right, but
Yeah,
it also
that makes
changes
me
your
sad.
tone. Then, would you like to try some chocolate? Because you know what I mean. As opposed to, I've got chocolate. You're thinking, who wouldn't like chocolate? You found out pretty quickly, I guess.
yeah. And I remember the first time someone said that to me, my actual reaction was, really? Like I was just like shocked.
I would have
You-
given that.
Like,
Wow.
Did you
really?
say to them, so are you one of those people that just eats to live as well? Like, come
Is it,
on.
is it
Like,
just
what?
fuel?
I actually didn't even know how to answer that person.
I
'Cause
would have
was
just I was
mind
wow.
blown.
Ugh,
I was
you
just
know,
like,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's a
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, that exists. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, who doesn't like
Wow.
chocolate?
I don't like broccoli. I don't like cauliflower. I don't like. Okay, I can sort of get that. I don't like chocolate. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
sorry for
yeah,
you.
it's a thing. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's not many of you out there. Well, maybe there are. Maybe there's lots of them out there. I don't know. I ain't one of them.
Nope.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, very cool.
This is very cool.
Very cool.
So more stores. Okay, so we'll wait for more stores. We like that idea.
More stores,
Mhm.
few new
Yeah.
product introductions. Are you going to
Yeah.
CHFA in Toronto and not this one? You're waiting for the Vancouver?
I thought about going. It would make sense if I actually went, just because of what's happening, but I can't, right? Like you guys know, I'm doing this solo with two
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and I'm still making them all by hand, packaging them, delivering them.
Yeah.
So until
Maybe
I
not
figure
yet.
that part out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where I can step away and know that things are still happening, then that can happen.
Yeah.
So
Or you just stay the way you are and you have a nice little existence and you're making a lot of people happy.
no, I want to change the world with chocolate.
Not a girl.
I do.
That's how you do it.
I believe so hard, and I know it's crazy, or people think I'm crazy, but I feel like I can, like, I can
No,
help
it's
people.
nice.
And
It's good. If you
No.
can do that,
Yeah.
if you can, anytime
that.
anybody can come up with better food for all of us,
Yeah.
we should
It's
be
a thing.
supporting that. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
and I just
That's
want it to
awesome.
be an alternative. Like, I don't want it to be like the only one. It's like, sometimes I want like a proper 80% dark chocolate salted bar, or sometimes, you know what, I'm hungry and I kind of got stuff to do, so I'm going to eat Mindful Monk because
Right.
I got to do this. So it's just something. I call my chocolate like a tool in your toolbox. So whatever lifestyle you have, whatever you're doing, it's just something that will help you the way you need it. Like it helped me. So
Very cool.
I like it.
Very
if
cool.
If people want to buy your chocolate, where do they go? Stores and websites, things like that.
yeah, so stores, as I mentioned, you can get in Whole Foods BC, Nature's Fair, Palm, Choices,
Right.
Body Energy Club. They've been supportive since the
Cool.
early days, which is really cool.
Right.
And then, and IGA Fresh Street Markets.
Okay.
And then online is mindfulmonk.co, and you can buy like a variety pack, which is just like one of each, or some people buy like 15 packs because they get it every month. Online, I also sell a version with cordyceps because I think functional mushrooms are great. So someone looking for an extra boost of energy in their chocolate, I sell that online only because kind of testing it there to see if it works. Because if it becomes a thing, then that's an opportunity to bring it to retail. But until that happens, I'm just going to keep it online.
Probably smarter.
We'll see.
Smarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
Very
Like it.
cool.
I love talking to you guys because you guys are like, I've always wondered if what I was doing, I don't want to say it's right, but if it's like, am I on the right track? Because I have no idea. I don't know what my track has. It's just one step at a time, literally. I don't really know what's ahead. So everything I've been doing, I do it and I hope for the best. And then
You can always ask
you know.
us. You know that. It's not like you don't know how to get hold of us.
Yeah. But I don't know if you'll ever hear us say that you're on the wrong track. I think we try and tell you in levels of craziness more than anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it takes a certain amount of, like, the path you're on. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs would not choose the path you're on, right? But that doesn't make you wrong, and it doesn't
make it wrong.
It
makes it your
path. You know
path.
what I mean? Like, so if you had met a consultant when you're first starting, someone who was skilled in retail, they might tell you, "Don't do it, Alice. Like, this is insanity. You're gonna like throw everything away, right?" And I think what we try and do a lot more is, what we did at the beginning of this podcast is go, listen, you have a vision, you should do it, but you just need to know, like, everyone's going to look at you like you're crazy, right? Because you want to go into a fridge. Nobody knows what to do in a fridge. We told the Midday Squares guys the same thing, right? And they spent like a lot of money, right? Like before they kind of crack that nut, And so you kind of, I think we just try and tell you in levels of craziness, so that you kind of know what you're getting yourself.
It's not to say don't do it. I would like feel like I think people can do whatever they want. I think it's just you really need to understand some basics and some of the things you're going to be up against. Like I always tell people, it's not to throw negatives at you, it's to throw roadblocks that are most likely you're going to stumble into.
Yeah, you're going to walk.
It'd be nice to be able to go over them, around them, under them.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like at least have an idea. Yeah, that's a roadblock. It's probably going to come.
Because your vision is your vision. We've learned that in this podcast is we've had my favorite story, right, is my friend Sarah, who is in Newfoundland. She runs Aunt Sarah's chocolates, right? And they're straight up chocolate. They don't, she's not after any of the things you are. But she started in a little town of like, I think it's like 50 or 500
50 people,
like something like that. Like, she said she did sampling on one day and she sampled the entire town, right? And you're like, oh my God, like this is exactly what everyone would tell you not to do, right? But now she runs this business that like she's
on the rock. Like everybody knows her on the
everybody
island.
In Newfoundland eats her chocolates, they eat her ice cream. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't think we learned from this show that like people do impossible things because they have the right vision, right? So for us, it's more, we'll tell you if it sounds crazy and then try and give you ways to go, figure out your way around it.
I think that's what people need to hear. There are certain things, there are rights and wrongs. You have to make sure you can make money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's part of it. So you're costing. There's some things that are just right and wrong, and you have to understand that. And other things are really just, how do you want to do it?
Yeah.
But here's some roadblocks. Here's some things that are going to happen or could happen. As long as you're ready for them.
Yeah.
You got a vision, go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. Just going for it and seeing what happens. And
good
thanks,
for you.
Guys.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, this was fun.
Yeah. And if you need anything, again, you do know how to get a hold of us. So it's
not
that
don't be shy. And then when you have new news, hit us back and we'll throw you on Fast Thoughts. We'll record a little 15-minute thing. And then hopefully
I love that.
spread your message as well. So yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Amazing.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay.
Phil, you stick around. Go enjoy your day. Thanks, Alice.
Go get my kids.
Yeah. That too. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's only the second day. What are they in today for? 25 minutes?
Or... Oh no. The 8-year-old, she's there till
she's there all day.
Full day.
She's grade 3, right?
Full day. She's
grade
3.
They were an hour yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But my 4-year-old, is at the neighbors, so I'm gonna go get her.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Do your thing.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys. Okay,
Okay,
take care.
bye.
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 What a cool journey.
It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I like when she's done. You know what the thing is? I know she's got it in her head. I think sometimes that she's not doing a lot of things right. She's doing a lot more right than she realizes.
Yeah.
Like she asks customers, she's getting feedback. I mean, she's not changing willy nilly. Like she's got something she's going to stick to, and that's what you need to do.
Yep.
But she's open minded enough to listen and say, okay,
Yep.
the monk food is too strong. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
geez,
got it.
that's fine for
How
me.
do I dial
Well,
it back a
no,
little? Yeah.
exactly. How do I
Yeah.
make this now more appealing
Yeah.
without going off plan, off script?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Love it.
Very cool.
Love it. Okay. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.